you try to measure, root mean square error, and then epsilon band is something like you create a band along with the line, and then you specify that what is the buffer in that, so that anything comes on that for connection, etc. So then you metadata. So that metadata is something like we are also talking about the metadata is something like a lineage things. You also talk about different when it is created, who has created, etc. So metadata also talks about those things. So probably sometimes those things can be also shared if two different organizations generate those type of data. So we talked about errors, different type of errors, positional errors, and then what is the precision, what is the accuracy. We also talked about what is that? We talked about data quality and then different components of the data quality. And then now I wanted to cover something like a standards. So then you have ISO, TC, GSDI, NSDI, etc. So these are the basically standards. You might be aware that ISO, International Standard Organization, so that is called ISO 9000. That means it looks after the product, services, quality, etc. And then when you goes to ISO 14000, it deals with the environmental standards. International telecommunication here, and then here world services network it is basically. So I'll just say that what exactly it is. It's okay. What I suggest is we can also go to the net and see this one. It is a network related, internet related services. So this also gives the standards for that, and then our main concentration is on this. So that is okay, that is related to the common requirements. I am interested in the standards related to ISO TC 211. So technical committee, ISO International Standard Organization, that relates to geographic information and geomatics. Here they give the content standards, they also give attribute standards, metadata standards, etc. Content standard means what is the locational accuracy should be there, what is the positional variations in accuracy, and then when you talk about attribute standards, all attributes are properly listed out, or instead of one name you are giving two names for one same type of feature. So all those things are there in this. This is the World Standard Organization. Anybody, suppose they wanted for their own country, for their own organization, so they can use this ISO specifications. So one more is there is also called NSDI. So before NSDI, I want to talk to FGDC. So it is a Federal Geographic Data Committee. It is part of USA, and then it is one of the first spatial data infrastructure created for the USA. So then USA, when they created, even the president has been approved that. We are talking about 1994. So now we talk about 2009. Already 15 years has passed, and then they have changed a lot. So they say that, and then FCDC is Federal Geographic Data Committee. NSDI USA also is there, National Spatial Data Infrastructure. So that basically here you have to understand, when you are working in a university or in a research you are doing, so then you wanted to work for a particular area. So then that particular area you should also get all the information what is existing in that area. Is it? In that what happens is there are you generate your own data, and then I also want it for the same area, then I generate my own area. So then both, suppose somebody wants to use both the things, You generated land use, I generated something, a geology map. Somebody else again further down, he wanted to use data of both the persons. Suppose I use LCC and then Everest datum, other person is WGS84 and then UTM. So then you try to bring both the data and then combine together. Probably what will happen is they may not match together. So then unless you have that specification just already specified for that, so then you will try to read, try to understand, and then the parameters are given. So then accordingly you will again use that, modify according to the present conditions and then use it. So that way it is useful. This NSDA, if you talk about NSDA, Spatial Data Infrastructure, or GSDA, they are talking about providing the data for each country, for each region, etc. So then they will work in a internet environment, and then government decides, they decide a policy that data can be supplied. So then it is there on the server, then people can be use that. So that is the purpose of this NSDA. So that means at national level you have a spatial data infrastructure, and that spatial data infrastructure once created, it can be used at all the levels down the line. So for that there should be a policy that data can be distributed without any problem. So when you talk about NSDA for India, there is similarly NSDA for USA also is there. And then there are one of the pioneers. They have done a lot of work, there are a lot of development, and then are using this type of data at the national level. In India we are having, but at the same time it is not fully implemented. Probably it may take some time to get it implemented. So like ISO, this thing, you also have a Open Geospatial Consortium. So basically they also provide standards, and then more focus started as a software standards. And then you have a geospatial data infrastructure. So they basically concentrate more on a worldwide basis. You talk about the NSDA India, NSDA USA. So then they talk about our own country at our own level. So that information basically further can be upgraded to that national level, international level. So what is that role of these standard bodies? Suppose you take about software, Open Geospatial Consortium. It is basically dealing with the software interfaces, implementation specifications, and then you have ISO/TC. There is basically abstract standards they develop, and then start using it for at different